There you go. 5 o'clock.
Final answer. It is 5 o'clock, so I'll call this meeting to order. Running through the roll call, Alderfeldy.
Here.
Ackley.
Here.
Flicky Paneski.
Here.
Perella. Mitchell's here. That makes 5. We have a quorum. Will you all please stand and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And barring any objections, we'll jump over introductions, All right, and move on to item number 5, which is the approval of minutes from our March 14th meeting. Is there any discussion on the prior meeting's minutes? If not, we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Good.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Then seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Next up is item number 6, which is resolution number 168 of 2122. A resolution authorizing the addition of a neighborhood engagement specialist to the City of Sheboygan Table of Organization.
Thank you, Chair. So the item before you is about adding a position to the City of Sheboygan's Table of Organization in the Department of City Development, and the position would be a neighborhood engagement specialist. Just to give you a little bit of background, when the city, through the community policing strategy that Chief Domagowski brought here in 2010, we had worked with a group called Sheboygan Neighborhood Pride to establish neighborhood associations across the city. Since 2010, 12 neighborhood associations have been established. Of the 72 that are identified as police districts and that could be neighborhood associations, 17% of the neighborhoods have established associations. In doing some research with our adjoining municipalities around the state, Oshkosh and Green Bay, for example, are creating between 5 and 7 new neighborhood associations a year. They're telling us that if you have interested people, that you should be able to facilitate an association creation within 5 to 7, maybe a year, but really 5 to 7 months. So what we're hoping to do with this position is allow this person to be a full-time person dedicated to working with our partners in the community of establishing more neighborhood associations. I think Sheboygan Neighborhood Pride has proven to be a good partner. They've struggled with recruiting board members, so there's really only 1, maybe 2 people that are out there working with neighborhoods. And what we're hearing from neighborhoods that are being created is that it's taking anywhere from 1 year to as much as 3 years to create a neighborhood association, and you're losing momentum by the time you get to that get through that process. And I think, as we know, it's hard to get people interested in working together and creating an association and taking on some leadership roles within their neighborhood. And then when the process is lagging in trying to employ and get people and bylaws and all that stuff, you lose a lot of momentum in that process. So what we're hoping to do with this position is it would be funded with the community development block grant dollars that we receive and affordable housing fund dollars. There would be no funding out of the general fund. It would just be strictly those 2 funding sources that would fund this position. The position would be responsible for really trying to generate interest in the neighborhoods, working with the police officers, with the neighborhood officers, and the beat officers, and being really kind of the boots on the ground of going to meetings, identifying people, going to community gatherings, different ways of getting people interested in taking in roles in their neighborhoods on the more leadership level. So There would be a lot of night meetings and weekends and those types of things. This position would also take over administering as a neighborhood liaison to the new associations that are created, because as we know, when they come on board, they don't have a lot of structure and they need some hand-holding to get through till they're a little bit more established, so that this person or position would handle some of that. It would also handle some rollout of some new programs that we're looking at with the TIF dollars that are coming in from the TIF extensions into the Affordable Housing Fund, some additional housing rehab programs to kind of help with affordable people that maybe don't have, people lower to moderate income individuals that are making improvements in affordable housing and kind of fall within the gap of not having any equity to fall under the city's federal programs. Or they have other challenges, but they still need to make improvements to their property. So we are working on establishing some funding mechanisms to help with that, and this position would handle that as well. We also see this as really being a kind of boots on the ground and providing technical assistance and working with people on kind of city concerns and processes and programs and where to go, and kind of being up on all of that stuff. So they're really kind of our liaison person out in the field to try to connect the gaps between some of the departments and some of the services that we provide. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I've included a copy in your packet of the neighborhood engagement specialist job description. This was really laid out based on recommendations and information received from other communities. And Chief Domagowski and I and the mayor and Todd and Caitlin had met numerous times and kind of talked about this, and we feel that this is the best plan for the city moving forward, because we've seen to this date success in neighborhood associations, but we've struggled to create neighborhood associations across the city at the basis that we need to. If we're going to create one a year for 12 years, it's going to take us 72 years to create neighborhood associations.
You can't retire.
Administrator Wolf.
Thank you, Chair. Chad, thank you for that explanation, and I just wanted to kind of throw a few more things out there real quickly. This position is definitely something that I support, as well as the others, because we talk about strategic planning, we talk about the growth and development of our constituents and our neighborhoods, and how do we clean up our neighborhoods, how do we help our citizens to get the benefits, especially with in regards of affordable housing and just homeowner repairs and things like that. This is a huge opportunity for us to really expand on what the chief has brought forward since 2010 in bridging the gap between communication with the city and with the actual neighborhoods. We don't have enough capacity, and we don't have enough team members to actually get in there and actually help our constituents. So the more we can bridge the gap and allow them to have more interaction with the great things that the city can do, and for us to be able to understand what they need, is part of our ongoing strategic plan moving forward. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Alder Perrella.
Yes, just wanted to say that I approve of I think it's a great idea. I have experienced firsthand how useful neighborhood associations can be, especially, and not only, but especially because of the presence of the officers during these efforts. And I absolutely approve the idea.
Thank you. Alder Flecky-Paneski.
Thank you. I've heard with the police department several times. So is the police department going to fund part of this position?
No. The position would be funded through Community Development Block Grant and the Affordable Housing Fund. But they would work like we do today. All of our people in the Department of Planning and Development, the majority of them are funded with a portion of federal dollars, but work daily with the police department because they have boots on the ground.
Okay.
if I may add a few things, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. As we continue to grow the neighborhood associations upwards to 72, which is, I think, everybody's goal, part of the constraint is also the additional need in the future for additional services from the police department, because your team are also attending these meetings and involved in these neighborhoods. So it's kind of twofold. It helps them to communicate and participate with the neighbors and the neighborhoods, to be more seen as an ally and as support in cleaning up neighborhoods. But it also does mean, since we're using the boots on the ground all the time, it does mean the need for additional boots and staff to be able to be available at these times. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I guess I would have two comments. One is that I would hope at this point that we see this not as a police department program, but as a city program. And that's really the point that I've tried to make in the meetings that I've been involved in. If the city's not behind it, then fine, then let's stop. We've put a lot of time and energy and resources into this, and either the city's committed to building neighborhood organizations, strengthening community and community building, and really trying to engage the public in the governing of the city. And if we're interested in doing that, then we have to fund it and provide the resources to do it successfully. Because we're at a point now that just to maintain the 12 that we have, we need more resources to do that from a planning standpoint, in my view. And if we want to grow it, same thing. We need the people there to provide the support and the engagement with the citizens if we really want them to participate and give of their time and become involved. And so that's really where I see us, where we're at.
Heather Feldy?
Thank you, Chair. I have questions about the funding, because, everybody, this is the finance, and everybody comes to us about, their needs. And I'm a little worried when it says, the funding for the position shall come from the Affordable Housing Fund and Community Development Fund. And then the following paragraph says, provided for as part of the 22 budget prior to expending such funds. So first, total amount the position would cost. Class D doesn't tell anybody, what that starting wage would be. And then second, I guess I'm in favor of it 100%, but I have to worry about the funding, and, nothing should be coming out of capital improvements.
Well, this isn't coming out of capital improvements. The plan for this under a salary grade D is to, I think it's 43 to 55,000, and then benefits is 25,000 or so right around 75,000. The thought pattern is that it would be split in half, 35,000, 37,000, whatever it takes to get to that, would come from each funding mechanism. The Affordable Housing Fund, which is set up to be there for providing improvements to the affordable housing in the community, and the block grant program, which we dedicate as we continue to get roughly $950 to $1 million a year from the feds, and we can dedicate 20% of those funds to admin dollars, which is about $180,000 a year. So that funds a portion of my salary, it funds a portion of the grant coordinator. Actually, 4 people in the planning and development department are funded with portions of that, but there is still some flexibility in there. One of the things we reprogrammed a program assistant who is also now helping us administer this block grant program and make sure our files are all up to snuff. That position was funded with partially CDBG, but as we're implementing this short-term rental under the tourism fund, this new software that we have, There's going to be some legwork that we're going to have to do on our end just to keep up on it. So the idea is that, we estimate and the host compliance, the software people we're working with are saying that, they're seeing a 33% increase in short-term rentals year over year in our community, with almost double the rate for nightly stays, so of what they're seeing anywhere else in the U.S. So there's lost revenue there that will be coming into the tourism fund that we can reallocate some of the city development staff time to tourism to manage that program with the finance department, which will alleviate some additional CDBG dollars to be funded towards this. But in running the numbers and the percentages that we allocate people's time, there's no problem with having the flexibility in that federal source to do this.
Okay.
So it would not come from capital, it would not come from the general fund, it would come strictly from these two special revenue funds.
Thank you.
Alder Ackley?
I'm good. She asked what I was going to ask.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Alder Flick-Ubaneski?
Thank you. I am in favor of neighborhood associations. I have 3 out of 12 in my district, and I know they're active, and I know they're worthwhile, and I know the policemen who regularly work the beats and come. So that's not a problem. What I hear is a problem, what I see as a problem, is this committee has been told we don't, it started with we don't have the revenues, and you just answered that, fine. But adding something to the table of organization when we are getting a report about employment in the city, it doesn't work well for me. So, and it feels like rushed. If we had the report, if we had the complete structure, and no secret, I am in favor of adding one position just for communications for a business this size. We have no centralized communications. So that's my push-pull with this particular position. It's not the position itself, and it's definitely not neighborhood associations. So how do we work that through?
As I have stated in the past, it's very difficult to use federal resources to benefit low to moderate income people to be able to do community-wide communications. So this program can do neighborhood communications and this person can help link some of those and hopefully, deal with any kind of interdepartmental issues that residents might have with departments or getting them to the right people, like we do today with our neighborhood associations and all the people involved with it. But to think that this position under these two funding mechanisms can fund a community-wide communications person is a totally different pot of money.
Right.
Even on the affordable housing side, I mean, it would be very difficult for that. So the only way that could happen is if the general fund can come up with money to fund whatever portion of that is going to be communication related. And then it gets into the question of who manages this person, and does this person report half-time to me and half-time to the mayor, or how does that all happen? So I think it's just, this is really about building relationships in neighborhoods to facilitate the neighborhood association program, get neighborhood associations developed, and being able to provide the resources to the ones that are developing. And that's and then doing some housing rehab stuff in between, which they'll just do naturally because people will then be talking to them about their needs, and they'll have familiarity with the program, and they'll be kind of like our marketer out in the community of touching base with the resources that the city does provide or that other nonprofits provide. So there'll be some indirect communication, but I don't see a way of being able to make this position be a citywide communications person.
Okay, thank you.
Administrator Wolf?
I'm good unless there's additional questions. I was going to just basically clarify what Chad had basically brought up is these are two different subjects. We don't want to bring forward anything at this time because of the Carlson-Detman study, but this is a separate entity because it is being funded from other funds than the general fund and operations.
Correct.
So thank you for that clarity.
Any other discussion on this one? If not, we'll be looking for a motion to approve. Were one to so choose to make such a motion.
Motion to approve, I move to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? The chair cannot second, correct? The chair can. Okay, well then I will second the motion, seeing no other. Then last call for discussion. We now have a motion and a second in front of us. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Was that 3 opposed? Okay. Chair votes aye. The motion then does not pass 2-3. Moving on to item number 7 then is resolution number 170 of 2122. A resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into a master continuing disclosure services agreement that provides for Ellers to be retained as the city's dissemination agent for issuer continuing disclosure as required pursuant to Securities and Exchange Commission Rule 15C2-12.
Go ahead.
Thank you. This item is just allowing us to enter into a contract with Ehlers, our financial advisor, in order for them to assist the finance department with continuing disclosures. This is another branch of their services. They already do the bond issuance with us in the financial advising, so this is just another branch of what they offer, but keeps us in compliance and on track with that piece.
Questions, comments? Alder Flicky-Paneski?
The provider prior to this, Carol Worth at Wisconsin Public Finance. Thank you.
Yes.
Alder Brella?
Thank you. Just to clarify, so the fee schedule says that, do I understand it correctly that in our case, due to the number of securities of notes that we will need to disseminate information on, the fee schedule for us would be only $3,800, $3,800?
Per year, correct.
Per year, correct, perfect. So that will be the cost. And I will have another question afterwards when we address the following item actually related to this. That's it. That's it for now. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this one? If not, we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. On to item number 8, which is resolution number 171 of 2122. A resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to execute an engagement letter with Quarles and Brady LLP to serve as disclosure counsel with regard to general obligation promissory notes.
Hello again. This is for Quarles and Brady. They did provide us with disclosure counsel for this latest issue of debt. This is also hoping to move forward. We can engage in disclosure counsel. It allows us to be compliant in the actual document that we produce that goes out to the investors. So it makes sure that we have everything related to our previous debt, demographic information, market information. A lot of information goes into this offering document that goes out to everybody, and they are helping us make sure that the city is staying compliant and not missing anything in those documents.
Alder Flicky-Paneski?
This is distinct from Ehlers. Ehlers starts the process and they finish the process.
Yeah, that would be pretty accurate. Ehlers helps us begin to compile the information, but they're just taking what we give them and compiling it. The Disclosure Council actually will go through all the information and make sure that from what they have on their records, they'll look at news articles to see if there's businesses that are closing locally, things like that, just to see if we need to disclose anything in those statements that Ehlers would not have caught or what we did not provide.
So who actually writes the prospectus? Does Quarles and Brady or does Ehlers?
I would say Ehlers begins it and then Quarles and Brady provides edits to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Quarles acts as disclosure counsel, so they're actually doing the legal work around this. Ehlers is more, what they're doing is filing documents. They're assisting with the creation of those documents, but the primary role is to file them. Quarles and Brady will basically do the legal work around making sure that all of our disclosures are what is required by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Thank you.
Alder Perella?
Yeah, my question was the same, actually. So basically, one prepares the content, most of the content, the other one disseminates it.
Yeah, kind of.
Correct.
All right, so perfect. Thank you for that confirmation. And in this case, the cost to us is $7,800.
Correct, and that is built into the bond issuance. So that is part of the cost that is already included in the bond.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other discussion on this one? Seeing none, then we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. On to item number 9, which is the annual report for the municipal court.
Nice to be here. So my report is pretty straightforward. I basically just have figures showing our citation numbers back for the past 5 years, and then also our revenue collections. This year we added a line for restitution paid to victims, because that's an important function of what we do at the municipal court, is able to make people whole, at least in part, and reimburse them for damages that they might have incurred. So you can see in looking at the report that we've had a substantial impact in our number of citations, and that due to COVID. So in 2019, our total citations had already been a little bit down from the year prior, but they were at 6,595. And during my time, that seems to be a normal range for citation numbers each year, between 6,500 and 7,000. But went from 6,595 in 2019 to 5,027 for 2020. And that was due to just a decreased number of citations being written across the board, in both from the building inspection department, as well as substantially from the police department. What is interesting, if you take a look, you can see that the Kohler Police Department actually wrote almost 33% more citations between 2019 and 2020. And that was due to some staffing changes that they had. And decisions that they made to actually increase. And you can see that they've continued to increase. I'm seeing that kind of leveling off. I don't expect Kohler to end up at more than 1,000 or so citations a year, but we'll see. So they, in effect, tripled their citation numbers over 3 years. In terms of revenues for 2020, they almost exactly corresponded to the drop in citations. So citations went down 23.77%. Revenues went down 23.39% compared to 2019. And then for our citation numbers for 2021 compared to 2019, they were down about 12%. So I'm starting to see that pick up. So we'll see how things work out. So this shows how many citations were written. It doesn't show dismissals. It doesn't show how many cases went to trial. It just shows it, the initial number that came into our court. Because of Roads to Recovery dollars, we were able to start implementing virtual court in January of 2021, and we still do that. And so that's made our court a lot more accessible to the public, and I'll continue to do that. I've made a decision to start to go back to primarily in-person court starting in June, but people will have the option to appear virtually if they want to, so that won't change as we try to get back to having more appearances. But because of the reduction in citations and not seeing the public as much during normal court business, we try to reach out and do more engagement. And so starting last year, we began offering free weddings at the court. I was able to continue doing the things that I've done in the past, working with the chamber and their leadership program, having mock trial engagement activities. I was able to get an intern again this year from Lakeland College, so starting to do some of those things again. I believe most of you are aware that we did have staffing problems last year at the court, which were unprecedented, but that had no impact on the court's function in terms of having hearings. So there wasn't one court date that was missed because of the staffing issues. So I'm not sure if you have any questions or any feedback on this information.
Questions or comments? Alder Perella?
First of all, thank you so much for the report. I was just curious, how many weddings did you celebrate during 2021?
I only had 2 at the court. Most people want to go outside of the court, even though we have a nice building. So I get calls to go, outside, which I've always done. And that was still fun. I did some weddings. They were outside because of COVID, so I did some weddings by Lake Michigan, by North Point. I did a wedding by the baseball diamond at Evergreen. Or is it Evergreen or Maywood? I don't know. Maywood, maybe. I've gone to people's homes, but I only had 2 people who wanted to do it at the court. And I think that's because right now I'm just doing them when I would be there on Wednesdays. I haven't decided to add, a special day for that.
And I just wanted to add that I personally would appreciate if we could have learn about the importance of the municipal court.
Sure.
Just the same as you do to educate the public. I read that you do that sometimes, so you do that on a regular basis. So I think that we as the Common Council also would benefit from it. At least I would. I don't know about my colleagues. So if you want to look into that, it's a possibility to educate us too. That would be good.
Okay, and I've done that before, but that was years ago. So I'll make arrangements to do that at a council meeting then.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Alder Flecky-Padaski?
Thank you. Thank you for your report. I see the report here, and we see the statistics, but you added a lot more. You added the weddings, the intern, the staffing, and the number of dismissals. So the next time I would encourage you to put that in the writing in the report also, because that gets to be functional year after year after year. Because if you're doing this stuff, put it in the report.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on this one? If not, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Will we be looking for a motion, I believe, to recommend the council accepts and files the document?
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. Next up is item number 10, which is a motion to convene in closed session under the exemption provided in section 19.851G Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the government body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is involved, to which Sheboygan County case number 2020-CV000253, Audrey Brubaker et al. Versus City of Sheboygan et al. And we will be coming back into open session to adjourn the meeting, but now we are looking for a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I believe this one is a roll call vote. So Alder Ackley? Aye. Alder Feldy?
Aye.
Alder Flicky-Paneski?
Aye.
Alder Perala?
Aye.
Alder Mitchell, chair votes aye. We will be moving into closed session. We'll give it a few minutes for recess for us to get moved over to the conference room.
Perfect.
Look at
Well, you want me to wheel you?
there. Huh?
Want me to wheel you? We're going, you got her?
Oh, going in?
We're going in,
We're going in there.
You got Speed Racer?
Got Speed Racer, got it unlocked.
Yeah,
Uh-oh,
Feet up.
we got a little issue.
a little issue. Okay.
That's important.
His juice?
Yes.
Nobody ever asked for what's in there.
Oh dear. Just.
Vote on the issues that they're talking about in there.
All right, are we back live? Sounds good. Chuck, I have one more parliamentary inquiry for you. Under the open session section, item number 11 is the motion to reconvene.
So you made that motion to reconvene while you were in closed session, because you kind of have to do it in closed session in order to get into open session. So you've passed that, and now we're on number 12.
Perfect, thank you. In that case, as our city attorney said, we are on to item number 12, which is direct referral of resolution number 172 of 2122, a resolution authorizing the city attorney's office to settle the matter of Audrey Brubaker et al. Versus City of Sheboygan et al. Sheboygan County case number 2020 CV 000253. Do we have a motion on this item? Was that a motion to approve? All right, well, in that case, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Our next meeting will be on April 11th, which reminds me, I do have to apologize to everybody that we did not get to have that fun extra meeting in between this one and the last that we talked about. I promise you I'll make it up to you sometime.
It's okay.
And we are on to the last item, which is a motion to adjourn. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion on adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.